Daulat Mai was adept at doing crochet work, even the most difficult patterns. She had also knitted a warm, long-sleeved woolen coat for Mera, which she had not yet worn. It was a strawberry, almost salmon pink, with two white stripes at the bottom near the edge. Baba had told them to bring their coats, as the train might be cold, so Mara had it lying on her bedding. Asterix. Mani also remembered Baba once alluding to the destruction of evil before the spiritual awakening of humanity. Wait until I unsheath my sword, he said, and then you will see. And Baba made a beautiful gesture of brandishing a sword. In Hindu prophecy, it is said that at the end of the Kali Yuga, Iron Age, the avatar will appear seated on a white horse, carrying a drawn sword and blazing like a comet for the final destruction of the wicked, the renovation of creation, and the restoration of purity.
Mhm.
Parentheses, see the mythology of all races, 13 volumes. Indian Mythology by A. Berrydale Keith, Boston Marshall Jones, 1917, chapter 6, page 669. Dalit Mai later knitted a coat for Baba too, though he used it only once, as he did not like to wear knitted things. Oh, I haven't heard of that
I didn't know
predilection.
that.
Um, Dalamasi and Big Corset had already returned. Well, that must be for another thing. Mara was thrilled. She had never. Oh no. Uh,
I don't know where it goes from.
yeah. Okay. So I'll just read it as it says. Coat. He had on a sadra and sandals. Have you taken your warm things? He asked. You mustn't catch a cold. What do you have to wear? He walked past the luggage and noticed Mara's pink coat. Picking it up, he asked, Whose is this? Is it warm? Let me see. He took off his comely coat and slipped on Mara's. How do I look in this? Baba, it looks wonderful, Mara said. You look lovely in pink. Yes, he said, I like it. He wore the coat for a few minutes, then took it off, handed it to Mara, and again put on his camely coat. He told Dalit Mai, I have worn it, and you are fortunate to have knitted it. Mara was thrilled. She had never used the coat before, so really speaking, Baba wore it first. This was the first pink coat Baba ever wore, she recalled proudly. Baba looked so sweet in the dark pink tailored woman's coat, with his open brown hair. He looked so handsome. It was slightly large for me, so it fit Baba even more perfectly. It was good that mother had made it a bit big. Baba then told Gustaji to hand him his turban, which he wished to wear to the station so that his hair would be hidden. Gustaji gave him a length of light mauve cloth. Baba unfurled it on the carpet and with a swift, deft movements, wrapped it around his head and tucked it in. He looked very beautiful with his hair tucked inside the turban. That was Mara, probably. When their Tongas arrived, they left for the railway station where Baba told Dalamai, Mara, Small Khurshid, and Naja to wait on a bench. He began pacing up and down the platform until the train came. Baba was always restless. As he walked, he began to sing. When he came near to where some people were sitting on the platform, his voice grew softer. But when he went away, he would sing loudly and exquisitely. Again, as he came back, he would sing quietly. Baba couldn't do without singing. The
Mm.
train arrived and Gustaji and Baba boarded it. Gustaji opened Baba's bedding roll in a small compartment with only two seats that had been reserved for Baba. The women were still sitting on the bench. waiting for Masaji and Padre to help them board the ladies only compartment. When Gustaji came back and said, Baba wants Mera, Mera wondered why she was suddenly being singled out and felt a bit nervous, but she quickly went to Baba's compartment. Yes, Baba? Baba was seated comfortably, leaning back against a pillow, his feet extended on the seat opposite. Sit down and massage my feet, he said, smiling lightly. Mara sat near his feet and began to massage them, wondering how long she would be able to do so. As the train was about to start, after a minute, Baba said, you know, if you massage my feet like this every day, I will make you like Baba John. Instantly 125 years old. I was so surprised, Mara recalled. I didn't know what to say. I was taken aback because I had never thought of becoming like Baba John. I wanted to serve Baba and to love him. With a puzzled look on her face, Mara glanced up and said, yes, Baba. Every day, he repeated, and after a moment he said that she should go. Baba always said something that startled you. He knew I could never massage his feet every day. Once we reached Bombay, his room was far away from ours, and he was in seclusion and fasting. So we couldn't even enter his room, much less massage his feet. I knew I couldn't do it, but he enjoyed giving me a start. He wanted to give me a happy surprise. He was very sweet, but also very naughty.
Some pictures. Mara on the right in Upper Marazad kitchen, and possibly one of the Jesawala sisters on the left.
Ooh, I love that picture of Baba. I don't know why. It's not very clear, but it's so
Yeah.
evocative.
Meherabad birthday celebration, February 18th, 1925. Dina Talati, Freni, Gulmai, Mer, Shireen Mai. Unknown, Freni Masi, partially blocked, Pila Mai, Perosia, and Mani. Let's see. That must be Mani down there.
You little cutie patootie, huh? Oh, there's another little cutie patootie on the lower left there in the arms of
Oh, a baby.
Thug.
Yeah.
Who's that daughter?
I don't know. Oh, Frainie's son, Melu.
Yeah, and that's Khan Sahab. He was a big cheese, I think.
Mm-hmm. Time
Tina,
of testing.
you mind going reading now, Tina?
No, I can read.
Thank you so much.
In Bombay, Meher Baba occupied a rented apartment. Some noise in the Barucha building.
Something's wrong with the.
Something's wrong.
Well, speak again, but it was like a weird noise.
Oh, hold on. Let me just check.
Yeah, it's right after you speak.
Yeah, I don't know why that should be.
Oh, yeah.
You want to try reading, Rosalie?
I'll give it a try. Okay. Wow. In Bombay, about, wow. That's horrible.
Yeah, I don't know what's causing that.
Why don't we turn off the recording and maybe turn it on again?
Okay.
Maybe it was me because I wasn't muted. Now I'll mute.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means. And in Bombay.
yeah, I don't know.
In Bombay, Meher Baba occupied a rented apartment in the Barucha building where he had stayed a year before. Small Khorshid went to her parents at Irani Mansion. So only 3 women, Dalit Mai, Mehera, and Naja, and 3 men, Gustaji, Padri, and Masaji, remained with him. The apartment was spacious enough for Baba to have a private room at the end of the hall, with Gustaji in one next to his. Then Padre and Masaji in another room. And finally, the women in a room by the kitchen. The kitchen was also quite large. While the women were cooking, Gustaji had been instructed by Baba to tell them stories of how to obey and stay with the master. Baba kept an eye on what was going on through a crack in the door. Before Baba put him on silence for the rest of his life, Gustaji loved to talk. He frequently spoke about the times when he had stayed with Sai Baba and Upasni Maharaj and how they tested their disciples. Quotes, "One has to remain as steadfast as a rock," he cautioned them. The women tried to listen attentively to his unending stories, but at times they were so absorbed in their work, they would not reply to him when he asked something. Once Baba came to the door and scolded them. "Why don't you answer Gustaji when he is asking you something? Pay attention to what he is saying." One day, Baba told Mehera that the dal did not have enough salt in it. Mehera handed him the salt shaker, but Baba said, "Is this the way you serve salt?" Mehera became flustered. She did not understand what she had done wrong. "Put it down on the table first," Baba explained. "If you give salt to a person in his hand, then you will quarrel with him." Mehera knew, of course, that Baba did not believe in such superstitions and thought he was repeating this old Indian proverb in jest. But Baba continued, "If you hand me the salt, we will quarrel." After a pause, he added, "Okay, never mind. We quarrel every day anyway. Give it in my hand or put it down. It doesn't matter. It's the same." Mehera wondered, when do I quarrel every day with Baba? She decided that perhaps it was not respectful to give salt in that way. From then on, never handed Baba the salt shaker, but was always careful to put it down first. Baba kept silence for 7 days in the Barucha building and stayed in his room most of the day. No one was allowed in his room without permission, but the women could see him there in the evening. They sat for a short while and chatted, but as Baba was on silence, he would convey his
This got very strange.
thoughts through handwriting. Here, for the first time, Baba gave each of the women some of the leftover rice and dal from his own plate as prasad. Oh, this is that goofy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sent to David Fenster for a new copy, and that's what he gave me.
Oh my God. Anyway, it says, Meher Baba composed the Bujave Nar or Gujarati Arti in Mehrabad in January 1926, Over a year later, perhaps Baba wrote another similar arti in Bombay. In any case, the Bujave arti was not sung much until their stay in Nasik in the 1930s. Baba's weak tea was to be taken to his room by Mehera every morning. On his tray was the warm water, a teacup, a teapot, and sugar, but no milk. One day, after his week of silence, when Baba opened the door and looked at the tray, he saw a tiny ant. The ant must have been under the edge of the tray and then crawled up as Mehera was carrying it. Baba was very annoyed. He pointed to the ant and says, "You're serving me tea with ants?" Shall I read the sidebar?
Yeah.
Mehera speculated that perhaps Baba wanted to get the feeling of keeping silence to practice, to have an idea of it before he kept silence for good. When she related this, someone interjected, "Baba wanted you to get the practice." And Mehera laughed. Baba was very annoyed. He pointed to the ant and says, "You're serving me tea with ants?" He took the ceramic teapot into the bathroom and threw it down. It crashed to the floor into pieces, and the tea spilled out. Mehera took the tray back to the kitchen and told Naja to make more. This time she examined the tray minutely, wiped it clean, and made certain there were no more ants on it before taking it back to Baba. Baba taught us to be particular about his things, and he was also testing her resolve. One night, there was singing in front of the Barucha building. It went on throughout the night. The next morning, Baba told them that he had stayed awake all night to listen to it. According to Mehera, Baba composed the Bujave Nar arti during this time. Okay. Dina Talati, Sunamasi, and Small Khorshid often visited them at Barucha building. According to Khorshid, Mehera had by now become spiritually minded. Since they were staying with the master, Mehera thought that they should live simply and not wear colorful things, but always act demurely and be reserved. Then one day, Baba gave permission for them to go to the movies, and he said he would accompany them. But when they were ready to leave, seeing Mehera in a plain, somber cotton sari, Baba became upset. "Haven't you got any better clothes than this?" he demanded. "If this is how you dress when going out with me, don't come." He told Khorshid, "Take Mehera to your house." Khorshid felt awful, thinking, now Mehera won't be staying with Baba. I need more words.
Oh, sorry.
She was sorry for Mehera, but said to Baba, "All right, look after her at your house," he ordered, and he left with the others for the film. Mehera and Khorshid began to cry, but they did not leave Barucha building. "We won't go." Khorshid told Mehera, "Let's try to persuade Baba again." The girls sat outside the door of the apartment on the staircase. We both didn't give it a thought of how it looked for two young girls to be sitting tearfully alone on the landing, said Mehera. Soon Baba returned. He had left the picture halfway, as was his usual custom. When he saw them on the landing, he asked, "You didn't hear what I said?" Time of testing. Korsh had said, "Baba, please forgive Mehera. Whatever she did, forgive her. I love her and don't mind taking her to my house. But it would be better if she stayed with you." "No, always listen to what I say and obey me." So Khorshid and Mehera left for Irani Mansion, which was not too far away. "We went to her house," said Mehera, "but we didn't know what to do." They were standing talking for 15 minutes or so when a person came and said, "Baba wants you to come back." When they arrived at Barucha building, Baba embraced and forgave them. They changed into nicer saris and went with Baba to the same movie. Although most of the time the women stayed inside at the Barucha building, they did go out again a few other times with Baba to Victoria Gardens, which had a zoo. They left very early in the morning in Victoria's and arrived before 8 a.m. when no one was about. Baba wore a sadra and a cotton coat and told them, "Go around and have a look at the animals while I take a walk." He then took off for a brisk stroll for about half an hour down a shady path. The women watched the zookeepers feeding the animals and cleaning the cages. Mehera loved to see the big, furry grizzly bear. She was fascinated by it. Baba showed them the bench where he used to sit during his period of coming down to normal gross consciousness from his dazed state after Babajan had kissed him. He told them the story of how a Parsi man had slapped him, thinking that Baba's peculiar stare was directed at his comely young daughter. The next day, Baba again took them to Victoria Gardens, which Mehera enjoyed. But when he proposed it again on the third day, she asked, "Baba, are we going to Victoria Gardens every day?" "Oh, why? Don't you like it there?" "I don't mind, but should we go to the same place every day?" Mehera was concerned that the zookeepers would wonder why these women were coming every morning to watch them feed the animals. So Baba said that she did not have to go anymore. Then one morning, Baba suddenly became upset and told the women to leave. For some reason, he was furious. Masaji carried everything down the stairs and took her to the Dadar railway station, which was nearby. Mehera too was told that she must leave. "I don't want any women around me," Baba repeated, although Dalit Mai was told not to leave, but to stay upstairs in the apartment. Baba did not give Mehera time to change her clothes. Out she went, downstairs and onto the pavement. "I'll walk very slowly," she thought. She looked up towards Baba's room and saw him looking out the window. Watching her, he gestured for her to keep going. "Go away," he shouted angrily from the window. "What are you waiting for?" Mehera started walking down the sidewalk, but still very slowly, though she was quite embarrassed to be walking all alone. Dressed in an everyday cotton sari, an old pair of sandals, on and a white cloth tied tightly around her head. There I was on the road dressed that way, Mehera remembered. And in those days, when Parsis would go out, they were always fashionably well dressed. After 5 minutes or so, Mehera heard quick footsteps coming behind her. She turned and saw Baba and Gustaji, but Baba did not say a word to her. He just walked past. Mehera followed them as they made several turns and finally came to the home of one of Baba's early followers, Burjar Daiwala, whom Baba would visit during the Manzilimim days. Mehera stood glumly outside by the entrance and waited. Inside, Gustaji informed Baba that Mehera was standing alone outside. Baba sent him to tell her to go back to the apartment, and Mehera happily retraced her steps. Baba was now in a good mood and also sent word for Naja to return from the station. When Mehera got to Barucha building, she went upstairs. Soon Baba returned and quietly went to his room. When ordered away by Baba, Mehera had been unwilling to leave him, but she had obeyed another test. While at Barucha building, Baba also took the women to Pune for a few days to visit his mother, Shirimai, and the rest of his family before they left. Baba bought a toy for his 6-year-old sister, Manija, and gave it to Mehera to give to her. Keep it, the toy, safely, he told her. Be sure to give it to Mani when we reach Pune. Mehera believed that by doing this, Baba was encouraging her to make friends with Mani. Baba's family was living in what is now known as Baba House. Baba and the men stayed separately on one side of the house with the women on the other side. Mani's first memory of Mehera was this visit. She remembered vividly Mehera drying and combing her freshly washed hair by the well in their courtyard and how beautiful she looked. Later, she told Mehera, I saw what abundant, lovely, full hair you had, usually hidden under the Matu Banu. During their stay in Pune, Mehera also met Baba's father, Shariarji, who would sit away from the others, quietly repeating Yezdan, the Zoroastrian name of God. Shariarji loved gardening, and Mehera noticed the colorful violets growing in his garden.
Okay, thank you, Rosalie. I'll take over if I can. After staying in the Barucha building for 2 months at the end of January 1925, Baba and the group returned to Meherabad. A few days later, Baba sent Daulat Mai, Mehera, and Naju to Sikori, accompanied by Valjiftar. It was a time of testing. It was time to leave. They came on the veranda of the post office, from the post office, from their room, to say goodbye to Baba. Baba rose and said a few words. Take care of your health, he told them. He embraced Daulat Mai and then said, Naja, since you are my cousin, I will embrace you also, but I won't embrace anyone else. Naja happily stepped forward. Mehera was the only one left out. Baba said it so pointedly. Can you imagine what I felt like? Like an outcast. I felt so awkward. I didn't know where to look. I felt so embarrassed, as I never had the thought that I must embrace Baba. Baba was very strict at the time, and being new, I was still quite shy around him. It was much different from later years. Baba would not have liked it had if have I sorry, Baba would not have liked it if I had said boldly, I want to embrace you too. When they arrived at Sakori, Upasni Maharaj asked Mehera where she was staying now. With Mehera Baba, she replied. Durgabai, Maharaj's spiritual mother, was very fond of Mehera, and she urged her to remain in Sakori. Maharaj had, after all, given her the gold ring. After a few days, Baba sent Masaji to Sakori with a message from Mehera. If you wish to stay in Sakori, you may, but I will be happy if you return to Meherabad. That's a message from Baba through Masaji. Masaji delivered it. Mehera, of course, wished to return, but when the three women told Maharaj of their decision to leave, he said sharply in the presence of others, "What is this? Has this lad Merwan now become a saint? What does he know of spirituality? What have you gained from his hands? If you wish to jump into a ditch, I won't stop you. Leave me and go to him if you insist." This was yet another test for Mehera. After a while, Maharaj called, I'm thinking of Guru Maharaji. Maharaj called the three women again for a private meeting and then said lovingly, "You should leave here and go to Merwan. Stay with him. Merwan is mine. I am his. Hold firmly to his feet. After many years, the world will come to know who Merwan really is." The next day, Mehera, Naju, and Daulat Mai returned to Meherabad, accompanied by Masaji. This was the last time Mehera ever visited Sakori. They arrived just before dawn, and being February, it was quite cold. A bitter wind blew across the post office veranda. Baba and the Mandali were sleeping inside. So as not to disturb Baba, the women decided to rest outside. Quietly, they lay down in the veranda, but Baba knew they had just arrived and called through the window, "When did you come?" "Just now," they answered, and Baba told them to rest. This is a little weird. Mehera and the other women now settled in Meherabad, which would be the permanent Meher Baba's permanent headquarters for the next 3.5 years. Daulamasi, Big Khorshid, Small Khorshid, and Khorshid's mother, Sunamasi, joined them also, and they were accommodated in, I'm not sure where to go, in the place. On Wednesday, February 18th, 1925, a large public celebration was held for Baba's 31st birthday, to which his family and followers came. A pavilion was erected by the post office veranda and elaborately decorated. Bujiyas tea, and rawa, a sweet dish made from wheat. And sorry, with raisins and almonds were also served. Masaji poured the tea and distributed the rawa. Take more, he would say, there's plenty. After their plain diet of rice and dal for so many days, these were real treats for those staying with Baba. There was another special treat. For the first time, Baba allowed the women to wash his feet that day. Not too long after his birthday, Baba came to the post office one day with Gustaji. A message was sent inside that whoever had a gold ring should send it to him. Big Khorshid had her wedding ring, and Mara was wearing a ring Upasni Maharaj had given her, but it would not come off. After 2 attempts, Mara was able to remove the ring and handed it to Gustaji. Soon after, Baba came inside. He returned Maharaj's ring to Mara and put a heart-shaped gold ring on her finger, the same finger of the left hand on which she wore Maharaj's ring. Written on the ring was Baba. Mara looked at Baba without saying anything. I was rather shy in those days and didn't speak much or too freely with Baba. I never asked Baba where he got the ring. And did he have it specially made, or was it did someone give it to him? I don't know. It is significant that Meher Baba asked for Maharaj's ring and then returned it to Mara, indicating it was from him. Mara wore both rings on the same finger for the rest of her life. I'll try to read this sidebar. Someone had given Baba the ring that he gave to Mara, perhaps on his birthday. The post office and other men Mandali rejoined Baba at Meherabad, and soon the neighboring villages came from Arangaon and began stopping by, especially the children to whom Baba would give prasad. Meherabad became a thriving, bustling something. I don't know. I don't know. Some more about this ring. I'll just finish up. After wearing the new ring for a few years, the word Baba gradually wore down and became very faint. Later, Baba also gave Mera a purple enamel ring with Meher written on it in gold letters. But the time of testing was not yet over for the women. A photograph had been taken with Baba with his followers at the birthday celebration, but Baba is frowning because despite the pomp and gaiety of the situation, he was not in a good, I don't know. So I'll just finish this paragraph. A temporary kitchen, this time his wrath had fallen on Naja. A temporary kitchen was constructed near the post office. A dog came in and pushed the lid off and began eating the curd. Daula Masi saw it and finding nothing else close at hand, she took a piece of burning firewood and shooed the dog away. Naja witnessed the incident and being young, found the whole thing amusing and laughed out loud. Baba, seated on the post office veranda, surrounded by birthday guests and villagers, and the mandali, while Nadia was crossing to the veranda. To go inside, she saw a dog in the distance, and an amusing scene came back to her. She smiled at the thought and continued walking. Baba called to her and stood up. He was very angry. He slapped her soundly. "You are laughing at the men," he fumed. "You are prancing about, creating a spectacle. I don't like women laughing and behaving like this in front of men." Baba's comments were also actually not directed at Nadia. The women followers from Bombay were present and talking and tittering amongst themselves. Baba did not like the way they were behaving in his presence. He wanted to teach them a lesson, and Nadia became the scapegoat. She was destined to play a role she was destined to play many, many times in the future. Baba would often scold her and strike her, sometimes calling her to fall down. Everyone became dead silent. Baba repeated, "I don't like men and women laughing with each other in my presence. Whatever they want to do outside is their business, but not in front of me." Nadia felt humiliated. She went inside and cried her heart out. She tried to explain why she was laughing, but Baba had been too upset to listen. Baba sent those on the veranda away to rest and called Nadia outside, where Adi Sr. was also seated, massaging Baba's feet. Baba embraced her and said, "I didn't mean to beat you, but I had something in mind. I wanted to set an example for the others." He kissed her and said, "Don't worry, forget about it." Mehera remembered the incident slightly differently. According to her, Nadia was restless by nature and would never sit quietly. She had a habit of jumping up and down and also had a very loud laugh. A small beige puppy had just begun staying with them, and Baba was seated on the veranda in the early afternoon with the men. Nadia was standing in the middle of the veranda, and the puppy caught a hold of her sari. She began giggling and playing with it, saying, "No, let go." The men were watching, and Baba did not like it. He stood up and slapped Nadia. Later, he embraced her and explained, "Why did I beat you? There were others present, men." He told her she should have taken the puppy away quietly. "For the others, besides the men, I also had to do it." Nadia took this to mean that the others referred to Mehera, who had been chuckling about the incidents. Mehera said that this was incorrect because the thought that Baba had slapped Nadia for the benefit of the men only, because their attention was on Nadia and not on Baba. So Eugene, would you like to take over?
Okay, but Baba would at times also become angry with Mehera. And one day he found an excuse when Mehera was cleaning cloves of garlic. The breeze blew the outer husks away, and Baba noticed them scattered about. "Who has done this?" he asked. Mehera said that she had. "I don't know how it happened. The wind must have blown them away." Baba said, Look here, whenever you make a mistake, I'm going to beat Naja. Uh, I think that I'll go on with the sidebar. Khorshid recalled another incident involving Mehra, who had committed some mistake. Baba told Parvati, a leper who had come to Mehrabad, to take off her sandal and strike Mehra with it. Khorshid was in Bombay at the time, so she is. Could you scroll? Um, so she is not certain whether Parvati actually did this or not. And Mara was vague in relating the incident to Khorshid when she returned. I felt so uncomfortable, Mara recalled. I had to be on the lookout all the time.
Okay, let's go back to the top.
Okay. All the time, not to make any mistake or cause Baba to get upset. Otherwise, Naja would suffer. Sometime later, about 5 months after they had come to stay at Mehrabad, Baba even slapped Mera. They were walking outside when Baba's foot became caught in Mera's sari. Baba nearly tripped, but Mera caught him. For some reason, he was furious and pushed and slapped her. Shireen Mai and Dalamasi were there and heard the commotion. Shireen Mai took Mera's side. It serves Merrill right, she said. Why was he walking so close? Why did he want to beat her? But Dowla was more worried about Baba. He might have tripped, fallen, and been injured, she said. Baba never pushed or slapped Mera again. And although it was a heart-wrenching experience at the time, Mera stated later, the slap hurt and smarted, but not too much. I am glad I had this Ram Prasad from Baba. In India, it is recognized that masters and saints can have either a Jalali, fiery, or a Jamali, mild nature, or alternate between both. Ram was known for having a fiery, warlike nature, hence the name Ram Prasad. Also, it is considered a particularly potent prasad to have the abuse of a master. The reason being that when someone is struck by a master who has transcended anger, that person's own inclination towards anger is greatly reduced, as are his other multifarious sanskaras. One day, everyone was in trouble. Baba got upset over something and said to the women, all leave Mehrabad at once. I don't want any of you here. Go this instant. The women had been cooking and were dressed in old saris. Mera had not been present at the time, but she too started walking with the rest of the women towards Ahmednagar. It looked so odd, a group of women dressed as they were walking on the road. They felt, could you scroll a little bit more? They felt humiliated, especially since the men Mondley were watching. The women hung their heads and looked down as they walked. Scroll a bit more, teen, please. As if to accentuate their forlorn state, a stray dog even began following them. They did not know why they were being sent away, but Dalit Mai said, never mind, we must do as Baba says. After they had gone some distance, they heard someone behind them clapping. One of the Mondalis ran up and said, come back, Baba's calling you. They had been dragging their feet, walking as slowly as possible, but now they hurried back, all smiles. Baba was no longer there, so they resumed their cooking as if nothing had happened. Twice this sudden banishment from Mehrabad occurred. In those days, the atmosphere was tense and serious, Mehra related. The women were on constant tenterhooks. This phase of testing the women is reminiscent of the Manzalamim days when Baba would do likewise while training the men. Scroll, please.
Hold on.
In those days when Baba would do likewise while training the men. But there may have been another reason as well. Baba may have wished to demonstrate how strictly he was keeping women at Meherabad. The second banishment occurred after something Shireen Mai said. Shireen Mai, who could always be relied upon to tell Baba what was being said about him, informed him, now that you keep women in your ashram, all of Pune is talking. Do you know what people are saying? How does it look, Merog, to be staying in this isolated place with women and young girls? And everyone embraces you. Why do you allow them to embrace you? Baba said, Memo, that's Shireen Mai, if you want to be embraced, I will order everyone to embrace you too. But his mother, that was good. But his mother went on, and Baba finally said, all right, I don't want any women staying with me. He told the women to leave. The rice and dal were cooking, but they had to leave without delay. Everything was left on the fire. Feeling sad, they walked through the fields to the main road. How awkward it will look when we show up at Gulmai's place. Kushru quarters like this, they thought. Then someone came running. Baba's calling you, he shouted, and they returned to their work. Scroll, please, Tina.
Mhm.
Naja observed, we never knew that we would stay with Baba forever. Always something or other would happen.
Did you lose your place?
Yeah, I tapped the wrong thing and I lost the whole thing.
Oh, Baba would say it, say go at any moment, and Baba would shoo us out. We were never sure about being with him. So many times it happened. And there's Gustaji and Dowlat Mine in Meherabad.
They look close.
And this is Gulmai and Shireen Mai.
Oh, I love that pose.
Mhm.
Cash, very cash.
Oh dear. Now we have the cutoff version.
Oh, well, we could stop now anyway, right? It's 5 to
Yeah.
5. Yeah.
Let's see. I just have to figure out how to stop the recording.
If there's no icon, maybe under the 3 dots.
Yeah, I think I stopped it.
No, it's still on. I see the